Oh my God. What just happened today? Wow. We need to talk about this stuff, guys. Couple big things here. So today's video, we're focusing on Loopring as well as Orchid, as well as we're showing you a little bit more on Bitcoin. Those are our three big key things we're going to talk about. It's probably going to be a little bit of a shorter video, but hopefully you guys enjoy it this time like this. So first thing, Loopring, aka LRC. This was just recently added to Coinbase. And the market was pretty volatile. So we actually saw Loopring shoot up quite a bit, and we saw Orchid shoot down a pretty decent amount. And we're going to look at the charts on both of these. Looking at Loopring, first of all, you look at it historically. Back in the past here, right, we're pushing up to a high right around $2.07. According to this, all-time high was $2.59. How much is it right now? 26 cents. 26 cents. Keep in mind, during this time period, when this price shot really high, sky high, altcoins galore. Ethereum, I believe that was around $1,400. Bitcoin was at like the $20,000 price range. So it was a very, very, very profitable point in time for a lot of different cryptocurrency based projects, and this was one of them. And they had this big pullback down, climb up, further continuation down, so kind of a dead cat bounce here, tried to accumulate back up, a further drop down in this long consolidated phase, and now we're starting to see this uptick pushing back roughly around May, the end of May, pushing June. It was essentially June that we saw over there. Anyways, so you see that for the last 24 hours, it's up 9.56%. You look at it for the last day. Look at this. Bam. Looking at it over on the Coinbase app right here, we could see that it shot up even further than what's being shown there. The high of 37 cents. It's kind of hard for me to show you guys on my phone, but 37 cents, 0.3770 for the high. And just massive candle up and then a big pull back down. But you know what? I can show you here. Thank you, TradingView, because now that it's on Coinbase, we do have the option to be able to show you here. So you can see that from when the day opened for Loopring to its high, it went up 53.32%. And how long? I mean, that was from the time of the day opening, but this big major move that took place, how much time frame was it that we saw that big candlestick, right? So right here, it was a 15-minute time span. You could see it shoot all the way up there. Let's go even more micro and shoot to a 5-minute time scale. Kind of zoom our way back here. You can even see right there. See? Very large volume taking place all the way up and then all the way back down. So there were sell orders that was taking place as soon as that was shooting up within a 5-minute scale. Let's go back even further into a 1-minute scale. So 1-minute scale, we zoom in. And right here, you can see over the course of about 5 minutes, there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different segments, a big climbing up, and then immediately started selling down, essentially on the same time when they're right there. So then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that, to me, suggests pretty strongly of a pump and dump scenario. Real high up, large pullback down almost immediately, but then it started to rally up again, and then there was a further continuation sell-off until it has resettled back down, but it's actually at a higher point than it was the day before. We take a look at it back on the daily here, and you can see that the day before it had closed out at 24 cents, just under 25 cents. So going from 25 cents to 28 cents, you're still seeing a 3% gain. 3-cent gain, my apologies, a 3-cent gain, which is quite considerable depending on how much of this that you own. Now, I can say that I am proud. I am proud that I jumped on this coin as well. I don't have as much as I wish that I could have, but hey, like they say in investing, never risk investing more than what you're willing to afford to lose, right? So for my situation, I got investments in Bitcoin, I got some in Orchid, I got some in some other cryptocurrencies. This was a new base project that I decided to get into. I was like, let me do something pretty decent, looking at it on its historical trends. Its actual application sounds like it's pretty nice. Right here is an open protocol for scalable non-custodial exchanges on Ethereum. The Loopring protocol, smart contracts, and zero-knowledge proof circuits allow the building of high-performance DEX DEX is using a ZK rollup construction. This allows for higher throughput and lower settlement costs without sacrificing Ethereum level security guarantees. So it says the LRC tokens can be staked by holders to earn protocol fees and by DEXs as a bond to follow protocol defined behavior. To me, it sounds like an interesting project. I'm like, all right, it's a low price point. We've seen past history. It's gone pretty high here. I'm going to put something in the game, especially with the fact that it just came out on Coinbase. Market capital wise, you take a look at this. It's at $303 million. Pretty sizable amount. Circulating supply, something else that I kind of liked. It's right around that billion range. And Chainlink, 1 billion. You take a look at also Orchid, 1 billion, right? Ideally, the lower the circulating supply or the total supply, even better, the total supply, then it's the easier the price can go up and down. But that also means that it's the more volatile that it can be. So there's catch-22s to both situations. Taking a look over here at the total supply and the circulated supply, it's almost all of the total supply that's actually out there now. So if you're worried about more supply being added out there and it dramatically causing this price drop because now there's too much supply and not enough demand that's actually occurred. Essentially, it's there with what it is, and the opportunity to be able to go up is substantiated based on the actual circulating supply being so close to the total supply. So it's almost limited itself in that regard. There's still a little bit more that it could go, another like 233 million or so, which is still a pretty decent amount when you really think about it, but in comparison to the actual full 1.3 billion, it's not quite as substantial. Especially if you look at it historically, that it's been out for how long now? We have this back all the way back in 2000. Wait, I just hit all. It didn't do it. Reset my page. Come on, coin market cap. Can't you do something just simple for me? Back here right around August 29th, 2017, roughly. So that's Loopring. Looks like a promising future so far, but the buy indicators, the technical analysis that you can't quite see right here. Let me go ahead and try and minimize this for you guys. Ignore all this stuff on my background. I know I need to clean it up. You can see right here that it's set on neutral. Not really indicating you to go one way or another. It's slightly dipping a little bit towards the sell side, just because when you take a look at some of the other factors, such as the RSI, which is not being shown here because it hasn't had enough time, but if it did on this relative strength index because of the massive increase, this would more than likely be showing you it's overbought in comparison to the previous time. Steady rise over this period of time, but all of a sudden, boom, massive spike up. Now, our baby, I know a lot of you guys that are on my channel, you like to hear about the news that's going on with Orchid. Just so you guys know, no, Orchid doesn't pay me to talk about this stuff. I'm pretty heavily invested into this project of my own funds. I believe in it a lot, but that's my own personal opinion. We're going to talk about Bitcoin and what's going on with this. And just so you know, I've been actually bearish with the news with Orchid lately, thinking that a lot of the indicators are suggesting the price is going to go lower. I would love for the price to go higher for both Bitcoin, Orchid, Loopring, all these different projects that I have funding in. I want to make a profit just like anybody else. But when we look at it from a technical analysis perspective, I want to be realistic. You got to put your emotions to the side and say, hey, let's look at what it's actually saying. And one of the indicators you can see here, even the technical chart is showing a strong sell indication, suggesting more on the sell. Not strong sell. It's suggesting a sell indication. Got to get that clear. And we have a drop. Right now, it's below 30 cents. We take a look at our previous trend chart that we had with the Fibonacci retracement. You can see that it's actually broken down below even our lowest level. It's breached. It's formed a new territory. It had quite a big drop take place there. So we're going to reformat this position, and I'm going to try and keep it a little bit more realistic. We're going to try and take a look in this range and see how things kind of line up. I might actually drop in one more level further down. And as you can see right here, this is actually a pretty good indicator if you take a look at how a lot of this stuff is lining up. So first off, we have the very top of the line here, pushes down, breaches just below the 0.382. This baseline of support that we had set up, you can see it was testing it and kind of bouncing off multiple times. It was holding itself against that level of support right around the 31-cent range, but wasn't able to, as we have seen. It did climb up for a little bit, slow progression down, as we've also seen with a lot of the other altcoins. And you can see it tapped off here again 2 times, third time, just couldn't hold it anymore. We've seen it bouncing off of it too many times and decided to finally break its way through. And it broke down hard, pushing all the way from the 0.382 at the top down through the 0.236 all the way down to the baseline and reclaiming back up. So right now we're in red territory. It's on the verge of being oversold actually on the RSI indicator here. The volume, when you take a look at it for the daily, yesterday was higher than the previous days in comparison. You can see most notably would have been back towards September 10th. And on September 10th, there was quite a bit of a price increase, but a large pullback at the same time. So not one full direction. Again, I've talked about this before. I don't really see a strong set of signs of a pump and dump. There are some smaller signs of a pump and dump having occurred with this back when it pushed up on the previous day right here. You can see that it pushed all the way up from 43 cents to the dollar range and then pulled back to 71 cents in the same day. But the previous day, it had a nice run. The previous day, another nice run. The following day was a bit of a drop, but it also fought back and pushed back up. And you can see that there's action that's taking place. Volume did steadily start to decrease down here, almost similar volume to the previous day, the same as the after day of August 16th when that big push took up. So the project has a lot of promising aspects. If you want to learn more about Orchid, you should definitely check out my channel and see some of those other videos that I'm doing. And if you guys are enjoying this content and you haven't yet already, feel free to subscribe, guys. We're trying to get to that road to 1,000 and would love for you to be a part of the community. And I share a lot of useful information that's also going on in the news of cryptocurrency space, such as I talked about yesterday with the bank system, with Kraken, as well as we talked about Tezos and their testing going on with the Euro, stuff like that. So where we're at right now, still looking quite bearish. It broke that level of support. So we actually want to reposition this since it's formed a new support line. And we're getting something essentially going downwards like this. And it's forming a wedge pattern here. So I would predominantly try and keep an eye on, guys, if you want it to look like it could be going back up, because there's not much more room for it to go down. Another level down, I mean, 27 cents is something you should definitely keep an eye on. 28 cents imminently, because we did bounce off of that. So keep an eye on the 28 cents first. Next level, ideally, would be around the 27 cents, and then around 24.58, and then essentially you're going back down to the 20 cent and under range. If it does pass up above, we're going to be looking at 31 cents as a main focus, 33, 35 next, and at that 35 range is also going to be where the 21 EMA is. Volume push up, if this can have a reversal, would be absolutely amazing. We saw the little push up with Loopring today, downtrend with Orchid. And yeah, I would really keep an eye still on that 21 EMA, but definitely more bearish at this moment than bullish. Now taking a look at Bitcoin. Over at Bitcoin's chart, talked about this before. This little green line was just an improv thing. I still haven't deleted it, but you can see that the 21 EMA is starting to have that curve and starting to follow almost along the same lines. It would be extremely coincidental, in my opinion, if it somehow did that. But the concern that I have with that is going back historically, and you see essentially like a double top. Back when it was $20,000 and then pulled down, and then a new higher low when it was $14,000, and then a further continuation down. And then here at $12,500, a third higher low, lower high, sorry. Lower high is what I was trying to say. If it does have a further drop down, then we could see it really pushing back down to those regions. Like, I mean, pushing down this low, I don't see it really doing that again. This was an extreme anomaly with what happened with both the coronavirus and lockdown and the people freaking out over that, as well as there was an exchange. I can't quite remember. I think it might have been BitMEX. It was either BitMEX or Bittrex, where there was a hacker that came in the same exact day, and that caused a lot of people to get liquidated. And fortunately, they were able to stop it, but it was just a huge mess that day, right? So that anomaly to happen again, is it possible? Yeah. Is it likely to happen? No, especially when you start setting up security measures to try and prevent that stuff from happening again. But hey, a lot of crazy stuff has happened this year, and you got to try and be prepared for it, right? In the short term, you can see that we are pushing, trying to test against that $11,000 range once again. And zooming in here even further, you can see that with the previous day, it was about 11,050, a little bit lower than the actual previous day before it had reclaimed back down. But then a lot of buying action took itself and pushed up. But we're actually seeing a slow decline. Even though these big candlestick wicks are up, the volume is actually lower in comparison. So volume itself needs to start picking up. The RSI is right in the median zone. Buy, as far as the technical buy indicator goes, it's slightly past neutral, just resting right about in that middle range of buy. And yeah, we need to pass that $11,000 range to really try and keep the momentum going on, and 11,000 needs to be shown as a level of support. If it comes back down, that big range of 10,000 is a baseline, and then the $9,600 range, it's like 9,800 to 9,600. That's where the CME gap is, and a lot of psychological elements go into play. If you go back below 10,000, people assume that it needs to fill that pattern before. It's not necessary by any means, but people assume that it's going to go down more. And so a lot of people might put in their bets into something like that. This could be a potential fake out that's occurred over here. We are above the 21 EMA right now. So several key factors for you guys to take into consideration. Overall, though, we're so close to $11,000. This is kind of on the side note, when I really keep an eye on it on a short-term perspective, and I've had times where I'll be staring at the charts all day. Some analysts will say that that's really, really bad to do, and I can totally understand the reasons why they say something like that. But I start to pick up on patterns myself too. I'll be doing other things, and I'll take a look, and I'll just kind of peek in and see if I notice anything in particular. And when you are so close, like if you're within $100 price point of a major point with cryptocurrency, I've noticed more times than not that it continues to push eventually over that edge to be able to finish off and actually hit that goal. So psychologically, you're thinking, hey, it's really close to hitting $11,000. I don't want to miss out on this opportunity. I should buy in now before it hits $11,000, because if it passes $11,000, what if that's what, boom, fuels that fire and kicks it off to the moon? And next thing you know, it's $11,500, $11,700, $12,000, a $1,000 gain in a day. We've seen $500, $700, $1,000 ranges up and down tremendously multiple times throughout the course of cryptocurrency. Wow, why was that so hard to say? I'm going to go and wrap up the video here. If you guys enjoyed the video, please don't forget to hit subscribe, hit the like button, drop a comment down below. Let me know what your favorite takeaway was on this. Did you actually get in on Loopring when it launched on Coinbase? Is it something that you're still thinking about getting into? What are your thoughts on that? As well as with Orchid and Bitcoin. You guys can even say hi. So thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next episode.